right, welcome back. You are taking another live look at Cavalier, North Dakota, almost near the Canadian border there. A beautiful place. And coming from the great state of North Dakota, our next guest, Republican member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator Kevin Cramer. Great to have you with us. All right, I've been telling people all morning that Cavalier, North Dakota is a beautiful, wonderful, great place to vacation. Can you attest to this? I know that you were tourism director in North Dakota in the 90s.
That's a fact. I was, and it was the best job I've ever had, and they actually paid me to do it. But Cavalier is actually home not only to what's known as the Pembina Gorge, which is a beautiful landscape that's carved out by a scenic river called the Pembina River. Pembina is the oldest city in North Dakota, up there on the border, and sort of a fur trading mecca, if you will, from the very early days before settling. But it's also home of the Cavalier Space Force Station. There's a large Parks radar in Cavalier with about 40 guardians and a number of civilians that look out, to the Arctic area to make sure that we can spy any early missiles coming our direction, and they also monitor a great deal of outer space. So it's a nifty little city, and I would encourage everybody to visit.
Actually,
Amazing.
I drive through there to go through over the Canadian border when I go to visit my daughter who lives in Canada.
All right, good
All
stuff.
right, so let's move on to the real topic, though. Senator, so obviously you guys are working this weekend. You're nothing against Pembina. So you're working this weekend.
That's what they call it, yeah.
We are 1 week away from the July 4th deadline where the president wants this on his desk. We know the Senate's going to get there. When? I don't know, but they're going to get there. Do you have any confidence the House will concur, or are we going to see this thing go to a conference committee?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's, by the way, a really important point, because a perfect bill that can't pass isn't of much value. So actually part of the calculation for getting the bill done obviously is getting it done on time, but also getting it done to the, I shouldn't say satisfaction, but to the aggregated satisfaction of at least 50 Republican senators, with always keeping in mind that it's got to pass the House as well. I think, and I have a fair bit of confidence, and I think Senator Thune, our majority leader, does as well. He's been negotiating closely both with the White House and the Speaker. Our various chairmen have been working with the House chairman. And while not identical to the House's bill, I do think that we've been keeping in mind the challenges that Mike Johnson has in getting this across the finish line. So that's actually part of the calculation. I'm pretty confident we're going to have a bill that when given when the choice in front of them is yes or no, is yes better for my constituents than no? I think yes is going to be the answer for nearly all of them.
Yeah, Senator, I'm curious because the Senate parliamentarian removed a lot of the Medicaid changes, and obviously North Dakota has got a lot of rural hospitals, native areas. Do you worry about what those changes would mean for the hospitals in your state?
Yeah, well, again, that's part of the calculation as well for those of us from rural states, and God bless the founders for creating the United States Senate with equal representation state by state. We're looking out for that, obviously. One of the things we know out in rural America is it's not about having more money so much as it is having rules of the road that allow more flexibility at the state level. And I think that with that, and a fund, I think Senator Hoeven talked a little bit about a fund that we're trying to create, or that we are creating, that would be a bit of a backstop. The reality is Medicaid's a very clumsy, complicated bureaucracy that treats 50 states, 50 different ways. North Dakota, I think, is more than capable of dealing with a reduction of the funds if the funds can be, earmarked for the right issues. So I think we're in good shape. If we can have a rural hospital fund, I think most rural hospitals would prefer to have some money than to have a bureaucracy that they're dependent on.
So just about 30 seconds left, but I want to ask you about the Golden Dome Act that you helped introduce with Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan. You posted on X, quote, Senator Sullivan and I introduced our Golden Dome Act to build a layered missile defense system and protect our homeland from catastrophic attacks from modern missiles. Now is the time to act and do this. Just about 30 seconds. Can you elaborate?
Sure. So, much like the Iron Dome has protected Israel from the onslaught of missiles from their enemies, including Iran, we need a Golden Dome because the United States of America is a much larger land mass. but it really prioritizes defense of the homeland. Clearly, we need offensive weapons and deterrents like nuclear weapons, but being able to intercept missiles coming in, and there's where Cavalier fits right into that formula. Seeing and then being able to intercept missiles coming from every place in the world, including space.
All right. Thank you, Senator. And I can't wait to visit Cavalier, North Dakota.
All comes down to Cavalier. All right.